All right. Bear with me just a moment. I just wanted to check to make sure my volume is working all right. Um, just bear with me a moment while I look this stream up on YouTube, and then we'll get right into it. Just want to test the volume. Okay, it looks like it's working well. It's like, all right. So I want to start off with saying Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Yahweh, which is named the Most High, and Yahweh Shai, which is the name of his only begotten Son, that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. That his video is just going to be going into, this whole rapture thing, right? That's why I entitled this the Rapture Puzzle, okay? Which, truly is, just a little, inside joke out there, because, it's really not that difficult to, to understand. Okay, you got certain guys out there such as, Mind of God, and certain, Christian, channels out there who teach that, the rapture is going to happen soon. Okay, and that has to happen before the Great Tribulation, right? That's what they teach. But we know, according to the Bible, that the elect are going to be here on Earth to go through the Great Tribulation. Okay, the day of the Lord, okay, or the rapture, which are synonymous with one another. All right, the rapture will occur on the day of the Lord. Okay, because the way it's going to go down is when the Lord returns, he's going to send his angels to gather the elect together. And then when that happens, the destruction is going to come, right? And you can read about that, which we're going to get the scriptures. Okay, we're going to get the scriptures. Okay, but mind of God, listen here, man. Listen to this verses I'm going to bring up here. And if you still do not agree, I want you to do a video response. Okay, because one thing I want to focus on a little bit later on is the Bible focuses on a day of the Lord. It does not say the days of the Lord. It uses the word one time. It means the word day means one day, right? It's not plural for two. Okay, it just means one, right? The great day of the Lord, right? The great and terrible day of the Lord. So I bring those up, which I will show numerous ones later on that clearly describe the day of the Lord. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to get into it. Of course, we'll start with Matthew chapter 24, which is one of my personal favorite scriptures. And we'll start at verse 29. Okay, and I want you to, let's go to verse 27. It says, "For as the lightning comes out of the east and shines even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately," let me read that again. "Immediately after the tribulation of those days." Wait a second. We just started the verse 29, and it literally already established that this is immediately after the tribulation of those days. Okay, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Right, so now we have it established that after the tribulation of those days, it says immediately after, right? Immediately after. It doesn't say before, it says after. Okay, what does the word before mean? Okay, good. Now what does the word after mean? Okay, so now we can see, going by the context that the scriptures use, it said immediately after the tribulation of those days. So that cuts the whole doctrine that the elect receive salvation before the great tribulation. Then what he does is he goes and says that but tribulation and great tribulation are different things. That's not true. Okay, just like I could say that I'm catching tribulation, which I am capturing, capturing, what's the word I'm looking for? Let me phrase myself. I am going through tribulation, but that is not the same as the Bible's context. All right. So when the Bible uses the word tribulation, right, or great tribulation, depending on the context it is used in, it can be referring to the same thing. Okay. However, there are other verses that speak about, falling into diverse temptations, right? Or in scriptures also say that in the world you shall have great tribulation, right? So those contexts is when it uses the word tribulation, it does not refer to the great tribulation. However, in this context, when it uses the word tribulation, it is referring to the great tribulation, even though it doesn't use the exact same words to describe it. But from the context, we can understand that that is what it is referring to. Okay, let's go on to verse 31. It says, "And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." Right. So now we understand, okay, that the way it's going to go down is Yahushua is going to return. And when that happens, he's going to send the angels to gather the elect from wherever they be scattered in the world. Okay, that's the way it's going to go down. Okay, now notice it did not say this happens before the Great Tribulation. It showed what? That after the Great Tribulation, right, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the Son of Man's going to return and he's going to send his angels to gather the elect. Okay, so that is the proper interpretation as we can clearly see. Okay, let's jump down to verse 36. It says, "But of that day," oh, remember, I wanted to focus on when it says day, right? It says that day. It doesn't say days. It says the day. And that's what I want to focus on. It says the day of the Lord. That is what it says. Okay, look, but of that day and hour knows no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. As in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall, well, we don't need to get that. But the point of the matter is it emphasizes and says the day. And that's what we need to focus on. Is it says the day of the Lord. It doesn't say days, it says the day. Now I see, looking in the chat real quick. Oh, we got Mind of God in here, and we also have Good Servant. Good Servant said, just listening and doing some work. Praise Jesus for his sacrifice and grace. All right, that's good. That's good, man. Hey, as I said, Good Servant. I'll give you a phone call later today or tomorrow. But as I said, man, you're welcome to join me on here now. I mean, I can put a link in the chat for each one of you, right? Mind of God's in here. You guys are familiar with one another. But hey, that's all cool. I'll respect that if you don't want to. That's respectable. But just in case, I will put a link in the chat for each one of you. As I said, if you don't want it, that's cool. But the option is there. Bear with me a moment. And do me a favor, is the volume all right, or is it a little choppy? Okay. Should be working fine. Okay, Mind of God said no, it's clear. All right, that's good. That's good. Let's see. Right. So going back to what I was bringing out, as the scriptures say, what? That the day of the Lord. Okay, the day of the Lord. It doesn't say the days. It says the day, meaning one. All right, so there's one time that Yahushai, the world calls Christ, is going to return. Okay, there is only one day, one time that happens. That's why I'm going to bring out later multiple verses that clearly state the day of the Lord. And that's what I want to primarily focus on. Okay, is there is only one return of Christ, right? Because, guys out here like Mind of God, which no disrespect towards Mind of God, but, these guys teach that that Christ is going to return to gather the elect, and then he's going to come back later after the Great Tribulation with the elect to bring havoc on earth. That's not true. Okay, after the tribulation, which we all have to go through the Great Tribulation, Christ is going to return, as we went into in Matthew, the 24th chapter, 29th verse on down. It spoke about after the tribulation of those days, the Son of Man will return, and then he will send his angels to gather the elect from the four corners of the earth. Okay, let me just hit the comments real quick. The servant said, we can schedule that. I would like to get to know you first. Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. I will respect that. Said volume is fine. Mighty God commented and said, the elect know there are two appearances. I mean, hey, man, you could go ahead and say that all you want, but I mean, you can't show me that in the text, though. Like I asked you, where is the text that says that the Lord returns 2 times? You can't show me that. That's like I could also make a statement and say that let's see, I could also make a statement and say that there are 5 Christ in the Bible. You're going to tell me that's not true. And then, if you're going to ask me, well, where does it say that? And then if I was to say, well, you see, I don't know, then that would discredit my statement. So how can you sit there and make a statement, but then when I ask you to show me in the scriptures, you can't do it? You see, they would put you in the same boat. Let's see. What I want to do real quick is I want to show the rapture being described in a few different places, all in the book of Revelation real quick. Okay, before I get into the topic of the day, which is what I wanted to primarily focus on, this is going to be a little side note. Okay, let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 17. It says, and behold, he comes with clouds, and every eye shall see him. And they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, amen. Right, so now we understand that when Yahweh Shai, or the world calls Christ, returns, the everyone's going to see him, right? It says all eyes shall see him, right? All eyes are going to see the Lord. So it's not going to be this this thing like some guys, which I'm not putting this on anybody in the chat here, but certain guys out there teach about a secret rapture, right? That the elect are going to be gathered, and it's going to be only a few people are going to see it. That's not in the scriptures, because it says what? Every eye shall see. All right, now let's make a correlation by going to, ironically enough, let's go to mine of God's favorite chapter in the times that we're in. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 11. And ironically enough, we'll start at verse 11. Okay, this is the Revelation chapter 11, verse 11. It says, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh entered into them. And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And that's the time that we're in right now, right? After 350 years, the spirit of knowledge came into us, right? So now we are standing in great boldness, right? That's why you have Hebrew Israelite camps everywhere on the earth right now. Why? Because the spirit of life has came into us. Okay, verse 12. And they heard a great voice, and this is the time we're coming into now. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And in the same hour, listen close, and in the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000. And the remnant were affrighted, and they gave glory to the God of heaven. Right, now that is the same context. This is the same event that we can see when we go to the book of Revelation, chapter 18. All right, look at this, Revelation 18 and verse 4. Listen here, it says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, what? Come out of her, my people, that ye be not a partaker of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Right, so this is the same context that Revelation 11 is referring to. Now I see mine of God's in the back chat, so I'm going to bring you on. Bear with me a second. All right, man of God, you're live. You there, man? All right, well, we'll give him a minute. Uh, oh, he just dropped out again. It's all right, Ben. You'll go ahead and hit the link again, and we'll bring you back in. Um, but yeah, as it was just showing that this event is being reiterated. Matter of fact, Mind of God even says in his videos that Revelation basically is like, it will give a couple, scriptures, and it will give a chapter that goes over all of it. Basically, the conclusion of the chapters previous. Let me see if I can bring him on here. Um, all right, Mind of God, you're on. Can you hear me?
ETT, are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? What's up?
Dude, very important topic you're covering this morning.
Yeah, man. I had it on the back burner, so to speak. So I just, wanted to. I had my little notebook here that I wanted to, bring out, and I saw this topic there, so I was like, oh, you know what? I got to cover that this morning. So yeah, man. It's nice to have you on here. I wanted to bring Good Servant on, but he wanted to have a private chat first. So I'll respect that. But that would have been good to bring him on here with both of us.
Oh yeah, I mean, if he would have came on, I would have made fun of him for the whole stream. So yeah, he can jump on.
Hey, well, as I said, I'm on, going to give Good Servant, we'll call maybe later today or tomorrow, to talk to him in private first. And then, we'll, have a friendly discussion. That's what I reached out to him and wanted to have a friendly discussion with him,
Yeah.
about skip cheese. But, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes, man. But anyway, well, what are your points of contention here?
Well, no, I was just listening in, and you're talking about Christ appearing one time, and that's nowhere in the Bible. So I'm wondering where do you get that idea from?
Well, hold on a second, brother. It says that the great day of the Lord is near. Then there's many other verses that speak about the day of the Lord. So my question to you
Yeah.
is, do you agree that it says the day? It doesn't say days. The word day means one individual day. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean two.
Which verse is
So,
that?
let's see. Um, I know there was one in Matthew 24, and I have a whole nother list here. Let me see. Amos 5 and 18 is one that speaks about the day of the Lord, among
Yeah.
many others.
The one that says it's darkness, not light. That one.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
point I want to focus on is it says that the day of the Lord. So how can it be more than one if the text actually says it's a day?
Yeah. This is the part that I believe it's our biggest difference, and it's the two witnesses. So I'm not saying it's wrong for you to amplify your point, but if you believe genuinely that you are that group, then you won't understand the first appearance. So I believe Acts 1:10-11 is literal, and I believe those two witnesses are Moses and Elijah. So if you don't need them to be brought here, then I don't agree, obviously. I can see why you think all those appearances happen once, or all those verses where Christ is doing what he's doing is happening in one instance. But if you're open at some point to considering that you're not the two witnesses, and that chapter 11 has not happened yet, then what I say is correct, and that's the first appearance.
All right, I'll respect that standpoint. One thing I did want to bring up to you since you're on here,
Yeah.
is when we go back, and I brought up this earlier. You might not have been here when I brought it out, but if you go to Matthew 24, right? You go to the 29th verse, it says what? Immediately after the tribulation of those days, we covered that. Now I want to move on. Let's go down to verse 31. So
Yeah.
now we understand that after Christ returns, now he's sending his angels to collect the earth, which we know that's referring to, the UFOs going around and beaming up the elect. But the
Yeah.
point I'm bringing this to is it shows what? That the Son of Man's going to return. And then after he returns, then the angels will go and gather the elect. So how do you feel about that?
Well, we both agree that verse proves it's post-tribulation, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, so that's good. So you and I would never say pre-trib. That's why I don't even understand why people talk about pre-tribulation. Like, where did that obviously is just the Christian church, the 501c3 church, is making up stuff, because that text right there says the rapture is post tribulation. So we can disagree on what tribulation is. That's fine. Everybody has their different amount of tribulation, but that is established. So anybody who even talks pre-trib, they've never read Matthew 24, and they're a Satanist. So yeah. So sorry, what was your point? I kind of missed that in that little thing that I was saying. But
Right,
yeah,
right.
post
Yeah,
tribulation.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool, man. I'll go over it. As I was saying, that if you go to verse 29, it says what immediately after the tribulation of those days,
Yes.
Christ will return. But now if we go down, it says in verse 31, it says that after this, after Christ returns, he's going to send his angels to gather the elect.
Yeah.
So that's my argument here to show what? That there's going to be one return of Christ. And then when Christ returns, that's when the elect are going to receive their salvation. But the point of the matter, if you go back up, it says
Yeah.
after the tribulation of those days. So I don't know what you're saying about, because you say we're in tribulation now. But here's the problem. You're saying that there's two tribulations. There's one tribulation, which we're in now, but
Yeah.
then there's the great tribulation, and that's where
Correct.
we would differ on.
Correct. Yeah. And actually, that your understanding and is debunked actually within this chapter where Christ says that he's going to return during the days of Noah. So Christ cannot return anytime during wrath or plagues or famine or anything like that, because that's not going to be like the days of Noah. Like, Americans are stupid, but they're not that stupid to like still be partying and drinking when, like, there's a famine in like Arkansas or something like that. Like, it's going to be bad, and everybody's going to
Right,
know it.
right. Have you seen real quick, and but we're gonna get back into this, but have you seen
Yeah.
this whole new thing with this new emoji out? They have this emoji where there's a man who's
Jeez.
pregnant. Have you seen it? Right,
Dude,
right. So
I
why I'm bringing
yeah.
this up to say, are you saying that we're not living in the days like it was were when Noah was around?
No, we are. That's my point.
Right,
I
wait. So
think that,
if we
yeah.
wait, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your point.
All right, yeah, I was gonna say, okay, so now you agree that we are living in days just like it was back when Noah
Yeah.
was on the earth. So now we can understand, okay, well, we're in the time now where Christ can return, right? Because I agree with you, we are in the days like Noah, right?
Oh, okay.
So
Good, good.
I don't see, why we would disagree on that there. So I'll throw it back to you.
Oh, yeah, sorry, but there are other verses I think that you're bringing out that Christ is going to start when he returns. He's going to destroy. You understand that these UFOs can shoot fire and burn and kill, and that's what they're coming for, right? So to walk me
Here,
through then. Yeah,
let me real quick go to the book of Isaiah, the 66th chapter.
yeah.
And we'll read
15 is
that
the
verse
best
because
one.
I do agree. Yeah, yeah, 15 says, for behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. Right, so
Yeah.
we're in agreement there. Now, real quick, before you respond, let me
Mhm.
just read the comment real quick because I see there's a couple rolling in. Good servant said, I just pray to do everything the right way and learn from the right information, and I pray for his return. I want to love him in a perfect way. I call him the right name. It breaks me that I'm made of flesh. Now, his next comment was, I'm no teacher, that's for me. I just know I was created for him. A lot of scripture speak to me in the moment, and I know the sequence, but I'm open to being wrong. Then he said, I love Jesus, which, hey, good servant, that's all cool, man. That's cool. Hey, you sound very respectable, and I look forward to, giving you a call, man, right? Because you sound like a cool guy. So, we'll discuss it, right? We'll have a civilized conversation, just like me and mine and God are having, right? Even though we disagree, we'll handle it civilized, right? There's no reason to not do so. But anyway, mine and God, I'll throw the mic back to you.
Yeah, you and I will never have beef. The stuff that I do on my channel is just to make a point. It's not personal. If you say that I'm Satan and then you prove it with what you believe, then I am Satan, actually, if I'm wrong. I think that's what I like about our interactions. If I'm wrong, I need someone to tell me that I'm wrong and that I'm Antichrist, and then maybe I'll come out of it, if I think differently. So yeah, that's true. We have no problems, you and I. I just don't like Good Servant
Yeah, yeah.
because he thinks that Christ is green or white or something like that, and he's just a terrible actor. But obviously don't stop you from chatting with him. I'd be careful with people like that, characters.
Yeah, yeah. As I said, I look forward to having a discussion with him. Just a friendly conversation. Like I saw he was just live on his channel like a half an hour ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And I joined in the chat. I wanted to come on there, but he said he wanted to talk to me first, which that's respectable. That's fine. But I asked a question about the Apocrypha, what his views are on that. And he basically was like, what I understand, he was on the fence about it, which is cool. That's nothing wrong with that, right? We all got to start from somewhere. But when I discuss it with him, I am gonna bring up the Apocrypha, because that is inspired, man. Good servant, look into that, man. The Apocrypha is clearly inspired, because even Christ himself quotes directly out of it. Now, the reason why the Apocrypha is not in the Bible is because the Catholic Church removed it from the Bible. So that's the reason why it wasn't in there. Okay, now hold on. He said, good servant said, that's not true. Jesus is not green. Which, hey, I'm not putting that on you. Mind of God, just being sarcastic, man. He's just being sarcastic. I know that you teach that Christ is white. I know that. But he's just being sarcastic. All right, hey, man, you got to hey, look up what the word sarcastic or sarcasm means, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Hey, that's one thing with us, man. We're full of sarcasm. Hey, look, man. I'm a damn clown, and I'll admit that, man. I've always been that way. Matter of fact, everybody tells me, I should have been a damn comedian. But anyway, mine, I got all. I'll throw the mic back to you, man.
Well, dude, I got a video idea for us one day when you have a bit of time. I watched Apocrypha video of the 501, one guy from the 501c3, just a complete clown, like just doesn't know anything about the Bible. And he's like, top 5 reasons why you shouldn't trust the Apocrypha. And like, we could play it one day and just, make fun of him basically. And I didn't get to watch all of his 5 points, but I'll send you the link in Hangouts and you can take a look. Like the
Oh, was
501.
it was
Yeah.
it a black guy on the title?
Yeah, you know who it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I seen that. I seen that. I remember. I remember. What was it? Deacon Hakka did a video response to that probably about a year ago or so. But yeah, I saw that video a while back. But yeah, man,
Okay.
we can do that.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me
Yeah.
see real quick. Good servant said, "No, I don't." Jesus is dark said, which, hey, man, as I said, that could be. From what I heard, you said it was white, but hey, I could be wrong because somebody else told me you said that. So that might not be true. Maybe you're saying he is dark skinned.
No,
Maybe
he
that's
said
true.
he said he's dark, but he will not acknowledge that the so-called Negroes are the Jews. He's not allowed to, but that he has
Okay, okay.
said that verbally.
I will. Yeah, yeah. Sorry to cut you off, man. But yeah, I'll discuss with him. When I give him a call, we'll go over it.
Yeah.
So I can properly understand from him, because I don't want to superimpose anything on him, right? I want, him to
Yeah.
tell me from his mouth what he believes, right? So I'm not going to put anything on him till I talk to him.
From the
And
horse's mouth,
that's
so to
so cool.
speak.
Anyway, going back to the to the skip cheese.
Yeah.
Let's say for an example, right? When you read Revelation 11, the verses I brought out, you're telling me that that's not the same thing that we're reading in Revelation chapter 18, verse 4.
Wait, in Revelation
When it
11?
says to, yeah, Revelation 11, when it says come up hither, right? That's the same thing as we see in Revelation chapter 18, verse 4.
Yeah, no, those are the two witnesses being taken away after they're killed. So this earth is going to just bully them and gang up on them and make them the enemy during that time. And I believe that's going to start soon.
All right, I'll respect that. I had a few verses here I wanted to bring out, and this is all referring to the day, right? To as I bring this out to say that there's only one coming of Christ, right? One day where the Lord returns, and
Yeah.
on that day, the destruction comes, the salvation comes, and that would basically usher in the new kingdom. Is this one great day that it speaks about? So my argument is that the Lord can't return a couple times, because the verses I'm going to show, which I believe I have 6 or 7, I had to go into, they clearly show that there's one day where this will all take place.
Yeah.
So let me real quick. I got Revelation chapter 6, and let's go to verse 9. Then after I'll let you speak, and you can give your thoughts on it as well. Let me see. Let's go to verse 9. It says, "And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them which were slain for the word of Yahweh and for the testimony which they held. Let me see. Am I in the right chapter? Let's see. Maybe I write the wrong verse here. Let me just check real quick, man. Go ahead and talk real quick while I make sure
I think
I
I
have
know.
the
I
right
think I
verse.
know which one you're talking about. You're talking about the mixed multitude verse. Um, it
Oh
might
no,
be
I'm sorry,
14.
man. I'm right. I'm right. I saw the wrong thing. I'm right. Verse 10, and they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Yahweh? Holy and true does thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth. And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. And verse 12, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, which she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and into the rocks of the mountain, and said to the mountains and to the rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. Listen here, for the
Mhm.
great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Right, so now we see that it is referring to a event here, which is the coming of Christ, and it's referring to it as a single day. This is all taking place. So, mind of God, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we agree that that's happened in the past, right? That's the bombing. You know, like when you believe the scroll and all that. Like,
Well, well, no, no, that is a that scripture is referring to the future there, because if you read it in the whole context, it's referring to when Christ returns. So that one is referring to when Christ returns. So I would have to disagree on that.
no, no, no. I understand it's Christ's return, but I'm talking about the chief people hiding in all that, saying, afraid and all that, because they're not going to be afraid when Christ returns in the final appearance, because they're going to fight against him actively. So they're not going to be
Well, I
shy.
mean, you're going to have the military fights against them, but you're saying that the civilians are not going to be afraid when they see UFOs flying around shooting things. People are not going to be afraid about that.
Well, they are, but okay, read that verse again. Who's the ones who are hiding in the? Read that part again.
Let me go back again. Um, Verse 15. It says, "And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and every mighty man, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains." Right. So you're going to have people from all classes of society, as it says right here, even people who are in prison. That's why it said and bondmen and free men, right?
Hmm.
Average citizens, they're all going to be in fear when the Lord makes his grand appearance. And that's why when you go back to what is that, Revelation 1 and 7, when Christ returns, every eye is going to see him. In fact, there's another scripture that says, well, I don't have it off the top of the head, but it says that is the great day of the Lord. Men will, their hearts are going to feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Let me rephrase myself, brother, because I'm
No,
skipping
I
my
know what you're
tongue
saying.
here.
It's faint.
Um,
They're gonna faint.
yeah, faint. Their hearts are going to fail them for fear. Okay, so there we go. I mean, I don't see how we could, not say that. Now, I do agree that the military is going to fight against the Lord. That is true. But you're also going to have other, peoples on the earth other than the military. Anyway, let me just hit a comment real quick that a good
Hmm.
servant put up, and then I'll let you go ahead and respond. A good servant said, "This is why I don't mess with the mind of God. It's all strife. I thought Jesus was dark skinned before. That's not true. This is why I don't mess with this. I'll be back when you are serious." Hey, man, I mean, hell, I didn't do anything, bro. I mean, I said it, I look forward to our discussion, and I clearly said that I'm not putting this on you until I can have a civilized discussion with you. I mean, I didn't, I mean, I didn't do anything, bro. I mean, I don't know why you're getting all uptight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's cool, but anyway, mind a guy, go ahead and throw your 2 cents in there.
Yeah, I think that just the way I see the way that those verses are understood, like that's an event that happened in the past. People now see that the wrath is coming. Like, and they know. God's left hand side know that with all the bombing and all the stuff that's been happening in the past, like it's the day of the Lord. It is truly coming, without a doubt. And so that's a time where they're essentially building up their weaponry and all that. Basically, since then, that's what all the wars are for. Fundamentally, even the ones that are happening now, they're not mad at each other or anything like that. Like, they all know that they're preparing for the fight. You think they're just going to prepare for the fight like a day before Christ returns? They've been preparing for this fight from the beginning. They know that this is Satan's objective, is to prepare for this final battle, and then it's going to be permanent destruction at that point. So just know that, I think you know that. But that's the whole point of all these bombs, atomic bombs, and all that kind of stuff. So um yeah, when he returns the final time, everybody on earth will have the mark of the beast, and it's just going to be a absolute annihilation. So I'm curious, like, if you say that he can return now, then how does, like, explain to me how that works. He's going to take away his entire right hand side and then just start zapping everybody. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. If you ever saw the movie, The War of the World, right, with the one with Tom Cruise in it, right? They show you that the UFOs, they basically came out of the ground and started to shoot people. So what we teach is that when Christ returns, gonna gather the elect, right? The elect are gonna be beamed into those chariots, and as that's happening, the destruction is gonna take place down here on the earth. That is our standpoint on that one.
But then, so how's America going to get destroyed by the other
What
nations?
do you? Well,
Like,
well, I mean that. I mean, hell, man, nobody knows the future, you know, uh, every pinpoint of it. But hey, I mean, hell, we're gonna find out, man. The
yeah.
scriptures, as it says, what in 1 hour the judgment will come. So I mean, it could happen after the Lord returns, or it could happen before, but the elect will receive salvation through it. I couldn't tell you everything
Hmm.
because that's not revealed unto us to all know. But hey, we're gonna find out in the very near future.
Yeah. But you probably know mine at teaching at this point, but just know that that's the way it's going to work, is that the two witnesses will be here. They're going to be doing the plagues in Revelation 16. And then after that, after they're killed and their bodies are taken away, their bodies are literally going to lie in America for 3.5 days on the ground. And the world's going to laugh at them and just be like, great, we got rid of them. And then their bodies will be taken away in these so-called UFOs. And then right after that, it's possible what you talk about, where America is going to be destroyed in an hour. I believe it's possible that America could literally be destroyed in an hour with nuclear weapons. There'll be Navy surrounding us because we're like the unwalled, country the Bible talks about, and God could burn this whole thing in an hour, and then Christ will reappear with his elect and the two witnesses and the angels and everybody, and then it's in the Middle East, and then he's literally
Right,
just,
right. And
yeah.
sorry to cut you off, man, but
Mhm.
yeah, I agree that when the elect are saved, they're going to be beamed into those chariots, and then eventually, sooner or later, when Christ goes to fight the war, they're going to be brought down with him, right, to fight that war. That's why the elect, what is it? I believe it's Revelation 19th chapter, right after they receive their salvation, they're going to be joined with the Lord to fight the final battle, which is Battle of Armageddon over there in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So that is our standpoint on that. So it looks like we do agree on that, and that's good. Anyway, um I did have another precept here. Let's go
Mhm.
to Amos chapter 5, and let's start at verse 18. It says, "Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light, as if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall, and the serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark, and there's no brightness in it?" Right. So I'm bringing that up to say that, see, we got all these precepts that speak about this day, right? The word day is different from if I was to say the days, right? So we can see that since it says day, that means it's one day where this is all going to take place, not
Yeah.
over a course of, many different days. So, I mean, I want to see, since you teach what, that, the elect will be saved before the great tribulation. Well, how could Lord return then to save them, but then he's going to come back in another day to bring destruction?
Well,
Is
I,
that
I think
how
you're
do you
kind of
feel?
proving it. I guess I think GMS is teaching. I don't want to put it in your mouth. Is that as America, and this is I don't want to defend this stance because it's ridiculous, but as America, as the missiles are in the air, that's what they have to teach. You basically have to teach that if you believe Christ will only appear once. Is that as other nations are throwing the missiles over here, that's the moment that the rapture has to happen, and that makes sense that you have to teach that, even though I think that's ridiculous. But I'm going to put it to you: do you agree with that, or do you have a different understanding? Because that's what they teach.
Well, I mean that is most certainly a possibility. However, as I said, we don't really know how this is all going to go down. Okay, so that could happen. That could happen,
Okay.
but we're going to find out very soon. So, can I 100% stand on that? No. However, that is a possibility. We're all going to find out very soon.
The only reason the main reason too that that's not possible is then that means God's entire right hand side would have to be taken. You understand that God's right hand side is not just the elect, right? It's men, women, children, and all that. It's
Right,
not
right.
just the
And
100.
we teach that. Yeah, yeah. We teach that all them are going to receive salvation at the same time. That's our standpoint on
Okay.
that. You have the elected, then you have the remnant, which are saved, which nobody knows how many that is. That could be 1 million, that could be 10 million, 100 million. We don't know. Okay, but we know that when the Lord returns, He's going to grant salvation to all of those peoples, right? So we're in the time right now of trying to get right. So when this great day finally comes,
Mhm.
then we'll be counted worthy of receiving salvation.
Yeah, so the issue then is, but there's a group in Revelation that's described as giving up their life. So that's the problem, is that you can't have that situation where God's right hand side are taken away prior to America being destroyed, because there has to be a group that give up their life during the Great
Yeah,
Tribulation.
but well, we're coming to that point right now, though. Just like with this whole thing, right? This whole thing eventually, man, it's going to get to the point where, hey, look, if you don't have this, then you're a danger to the society.
Yeah.
Okay, so that could happen very soon, right? Scriptures talk about guillotines. Did you know that there's, I believe, 35,000 guillotines stored up across the United States of America?
Jeez.
Right. So what
Yeah.
are they planning for? They're planning for, you have all these things like the whole martial law thing, right? So that could happen, right? A lot of people had dreams of stuff like that happening, even I myself.
No, I
So
don't doubt that
that's what
that's going to
makes.
happen. You just have to get the sequence right. That's why I keep getting you on. You can't have those people beheaded and then the elect saved after that. How are the elect going to survive that? They're the ones they're going to go after first, because they're the ones who are the most faithful. So that's the issue. I agree it can happen soon, no doubt, of course, but you can't have salvation after that. That doesn't make sense. It's impossible. So
Well,
that's the
well, some of the elect are going to be put to death, though. Some of the elect are going to be raised from the grave when Yahweh Shai returns. Not all of the elect are going to be physically alive on the earth. Some of them are going to be in the grave. Would you disagree with that?
Oh, no. Okay, so that also is how we differ then. Okay, I didn't know that you believe that. I believe that the 144,000 men, every single one of them will be alive simultaneously. So there are other of God's right hand side that are on taken away prior, but did the dead in Christ. But no, I believe that those are actually 144,000 literal men in a body. So
Okay, I will respect that viewpoint. I'll respect that viewpoint. But
because
yeah,
that's the
go
government,
ahead.
that's the government, and God's trying to deceive them, and so they will not be harmed. That's the reward for all of this, is that they don't die. So just I'm assuming, I kind of get, you kind of have to take that position, but yeah, I believe that, and I think you should too, man. Those 144,000 men are all alive, and they're all angry right now.
Here, go ahead and talk for a minute. I just wanted to check something real quick.
Yeah, but the fundamental difference is, it makes sense more, and it's, again, I can't really convince anybody, not just you, of this, but if you loosen your grip on the two witnesses teaching, then even the slavery and the kingdom will make more sense, because the verses that you're using that talk about the elect harming people, that's happening here. Okay, and the rod of iron thing, okay, so no one, if you read the blue letter, it's symbolic. No one's taking a rod and beating anybody over the head, kind of thing. It's a firm, rigid rule, and I agree with that. There's not going to be any wiggle room. No, there's no green Jesus or white Jesus or whatever the hell good servant wants to push, and no 2 3 understandings and all that. So that's the concept. But there are times where the Bible does talk about the elect having their enemies under their feet and just killing, and so that's literal. in the sky. So it'll fix the slavery part too. That's why good servant. That's why Deacon and them don't want to talk to me, because once you have that understanding, the Bible gets unlocked, and then they're not. It's not for them.
All right, let me pull up a verse real quick. What do you think about this one? This
Yeah.
is Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. It says, I
Yep.
know thy works are not tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews are not, but of the synagogue of Satan. Listen here. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye might be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. But be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Right, so I would use that verse to say that some of the elect are going to be put to death during the Great Tribulation period. But then when Christ returns, those men are going to be revived and given their crowns, right? Their crowns of life. So I would use that scripture to support that. How would you feel about that?
Well, I don't know. If you want to use the elect to describe God's right hand side, that's fine. But the 144,000 men are the Church of Philadelphia. So I don't disagree. Those other churches are God's right hand side, some of them. But the elect, the 144,000 men who are sealed, they're the Church of Philadelphia. And so they're the ones who are exempt from the hour of temptation. So you can sense all those churches have a different personality, right? There, some are lukewarm, some are this, some are that. So God's going to test them in different ways, and then some of them do have to go through some amount of great tribulation, because they're not of that Church of Philadelphia, because of things that they've done in their past life. So yeah, if you read the verse in the Church of Philadelphia, that's the group that I believe that is the 144,000. Those are the saints.
All right, I'll respect that, man. That's
That's
cool.
Revelation 3, by the way, the one that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, go ahead and because I was just looking through a couple precepts real quick. So, is there anything you want to throw out there on the table? You can go ahead and do that now.
No, I have a question, man. Just curious, and this is not to be boastful, but have you ever heard anybody say that the two witnesses are in Acts 1:10-11? Have you heard that anywhere in GMS or Hebrews or yourself?
Other than you, I have not heard that anywhere else. No.
Okay, same with me. So there's only a couple options here. It's not funny, but like there's only a couple options. So where that came from. So I guess we will see where it came from, but I haven't heard it either. So it's either come from God or it's come from my imagination. So I would recommend considering that, man, because I was even with the Hebrews at GMS Houston last night and listening to them, and they were going through the story of Lot, and all that, and it's the same story, man. It's those same two men, that were there.
Yeah, I gotta skip G real quick.
Okay.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 15 and verse 2. And I saw as it were the sea of glass mingled with fire. But then they had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass having the harps of God. Right. So now we see that these men, they got the victory over the beast and the mark. So that implies that these men had to have been on the earth during the time that those things were around. Because if that wasn't the case, how could these men, which are the elite, how could they receive? How could they have overcame those things if those things are not on earth during the time that these things were on earth? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, ETT. It kind of cut out.
Oh, okay.
Do you mind rephrasing
Did you
that?
get the verse? What was that? Oh,
I was
yeah.
trying to open up a new window just to read what you're reading, but it kind of glitched out my stream.
Yeah. I'll read it again. Revelation chapter 15, verse 2. It says,
Yeah.
And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having the heart of God. Right. So the point I'm bringing this up is these elect men, which had got victory over the beast and his image and his mark. The point is, if these men were not on the earth during the time where these things were out and about, well, how could they have got victory over those things if they were never presented with the option of taking those things? So that shows that the elect are going to be on the earth during the time of the tribulation, because these things are going to be out and about. But you said that the elect are going to receive salvation before this thing basically goes out. Is that your standpoint? I don't want
Yeah,
to
it is. It is. It is.
superimpose it.
That's the group you're talking about who are beheaded. That's the mixed multitude. That's a group from all nations, including Israelites. I have no issues if if the Edomites are destroyed or whatever, and that's fine. So not them or whatever, but like all the other nations, Elam, uh, Moab, Ammon, Israel, all that. So that's the mixed multitude. Yeah, and they do have to give up their life because they don't have as much faith, and they weren't sealed. And so, yeah, it's an elite group that do not suffer death. I don't understand, like the verses that you quote sometimes, like with the you understand the elect will not die, right? They will not be
Well,
beheaded
well,
or
as
harmed
I
or
well, as I said, I do disagree with that. I do see in the scriptures those some of those men are going to be put to death during the tribulation, but that's why Christ said, "Be faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." So I would disagree on that statement, because remember the scriptures speak about the those who are dead, they shall rise from the grave when Christ returns. So
yeah.
some men of the elect, they would have died, and they will be rose again when Christ returns. That is my standpoint on that. However, I did have a couple of precepts I did want to bring out, going back to the whole thing, because I had this all scheduled out. I didn't expect anyone to jump on, but hey, I'm enjoying this conversation, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got another one, Ezekiel chapter 30 and verse you see real quick. I believe it's verse 2. It says, "Son of man, prophesy and say, thus says the Lord God, how ye, woe wroth the day. The day is near, even the day of the Lord is near. A cloudy day, it shall be the time of the heathen." Right, but it clearly shows that there is this one day. Now, let me bring up another one. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 63, and let's go to verse Let's go to verse 15. You can talk for a minute, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't disagree with you. It's not wrong to bring out these verses because I like hearing them, but I do agree that it is going to be a day that is bad news for the entire earth. Yes. Real bad news.
Right, right. But would you say, because remember, you teach, and again, I don't know if you change your teaching on it, but you say what? That Christ is going to make one return, and then he's going to return again in the future, right?
Yeah. You know how Ezra says he's going to visit the world that he's made? When you visit somebody, what does that mean? You don't stay, right? You come and
Well,
visit
well,
and
I
then
mean,
leave.
he's visiting right now. That's why you have these
No, no, I
UFO
get it. I get
sightings,
it. I
because
get it.
the angel.
I was just kind of kidding, but I knew you would not like that. But yes, correct. But I just know that I take a lot of the Bible literally, and so when Acts 1:10-11 is that way, that's literal to me. That's what it is, and that exact scene has to appear again, or else the Bible is not true. And so I would recommend at least considering the fact that all these verses are literal that I'm talking about the last days. So, but yeah, it is a day when Christ returns. But the thing is, none of the sequencing makes sense if Christ returns and destroys at the same time that he's taking away his elect, because
Okay,
then
one more verse. Sorry to cut you
yeah,
off, man, but I did want to bring this out. This was the last verse I had written down here,
yeah,
and that is Zephaniah chapter 1 and verse 14. It says, "The great day of the Lord is near. It is near and hastening greatly, even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly." Oh, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
hmm
The day is a day of wrath, a day of terribleness and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness. Right. So that's will conclude what I was going to bring out. But the point of the matter is it cleaves referring to the coming of the Lord as a singular day, not multiple days, but one exact day. So that's why I said, yeah, all of these events, such as Christ returning, the destruction and the salvation of the elect, that all is going to take place within one day. That's my standpoint on that. So I'll allow you to go ahead and respond.
yeah. I mean, I understand you have to take that standpoint. The Bible will make more sense. Will make sense when you move away from that, because that's not actually in the Bible. That's just so you know. I think you maybe know a little bit. That's why the Hebrews are not allowed to talk about certain things, like the flat earth and all that. So they're bringing a lot of truth, no doubt, but they're not going to touch the thing and all that. So that's for the elect to know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, but I do gotta ask you though, man. I mean, it does say the day though, so I mean, would you respond to that though? Do you think that's talking about multiple different days, or how do you what do you think about that one?
well, it is a day. It's just it doesn't. I would say here's something you have to consider is that the UFOs are not only going to appear twice; they're going to appear regularly in during this Great Tribulation. Because what is your stance on the Revelation 16? How do you believe those plagues are going to get administered? Do you believe it's actually by the UFOs or just through the media?
Um, let's even go ahead and get that real quick. Let
Yeah,
me pull up Revelation
because that
16.
will clarify my I think it'll clarify my position because during that time of 1260 days, these UFOs are going to be interacting with the Earth regularly, and so it could be every 6 months. It's possible because it's 1260, and then you have the seven plagues. But I'm not. I don't speculate that.
Okay.
God can do
But
those. And
just so
yeah,
I know, I have the scripture here. And sorry to cut you off,
yeah,
man. As I
that's fine.
said, my internet's not good. But just so I know, you're saying, and I'm not putting this on you. I just want to know,
Yeah.
are you saying that the ones who are going to be administering these plagues in Revelation 16 are those the two witnesses?
Yeah, that's what I was told on January 1st, 2020.
Okay, okay. All right, let's go with that. Let's go with that. This is Revelation chapter 16 and verse 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, go your way and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. So my question would be, is it's referring to the seven angels here that are bringing these plagues? So how can it be the two witnesses if it says in the text that there's seven angels who were given these plagues to bring upon the earth?
No, it's just the two witnesses. The important part of it is that they're going to be the ones who are going to be like kind of I don't know. They're going to be here during that time, and they're going to be ones who are like administering them, kind of thing. Like
Okay, okay, let's
agree that
stop
it
there.
is
Let's
it
stop
is the
there.
angels. Yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah, sorry to cut you off. Okay. But
yeah,
you said that the two witnesses are going to be administering these plagues. Let's see real quick. Let's go down to verse 2. So now we understand that the angels are the ones who have these plagues to bring down. It
yeah.
says, and the first angel went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the man which had the thing, and upon them which worshipped his image. Then the second angel poured out his vial unto the sea. It became the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. Right. So I'm bringing this up to show, well, how can it be the two witnesses who are administering these plagues if we just read that the angels were the ones who were given these vials of wrath? And as we're reading here, the angels went and administered these plagues unto the earth. So you can go ahead and respond to that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sorry, I don't mean that they're the ones doing it like in the sky or flying around, kind of thing. That's not what I meant. I meant that time period of 1260 days is them, exercising that power on the entire earth. Because if you read in Revelation 11, they're given power over everything. The sun and the clouds and all of that. So they're the ones who are quote enacting, and they can administer the plagues as often as they want and whenever they want. So it's up to them, kind of thing. So that's the part I don't know. Like when Moses and Elijah say, okay, there's administer the first one. I personally don't know when that is. Is it the first day that they're here? Is it the fifth day? Is it the sixth month? Or I don't know that. They could do them back to back to back. We don't know. So it's up to them, because if you read Revelation 11, they're given power over everything. God's given them the joystick over the entire earth. So but the reason I brought this up is that those UFOs are going to be part of this system regularly during that time. So you don't think that the UFOs are only just going to appear once, because you just read that they're going to be there at least 7 times for those plagues. So there's going to be regular appearances, and that's why the world's going to grow to hate them, because they're like, dude, look at these things. Okay, they've killed all the animals in the water. They put these. Well, I don't think the swords. They're not going to blame them because they don't know at that during. That's why that's the first one. But after a few, they're gonna figure out, oh man, you're gonna see a UFO probably near the sun, and then all of a sudden they'll have like a heat wave, and then you'll see a group of UFOs near the power structure, the grid, and then all of a sudden the power will go out. Then they'll realize,
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, man, but I know there's a video out there on the internet where one of NASA was sending up their rocket ship, and you can see in the footage that there was clearly a UFO that was there messing with messing with the rocket. You might have seen that. But anyway, after you address that, we can move on to a couple other similar topics. Um, so yeah, go ahead and respond to that real quick.
Yeah, I think I think you and I both see that. That's why that stuff is kind of more in the mainstream now. And I think a lot of people notice that those UFOs, generally speaking, they appear near like military bases. They'll appear near, just military stuff. Not all the time, but yeah, they're the eyes of God. He's looking at what they're preparing and all that. He's kind of spying on the opponent, so to speak. It's not really a fair fight,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, it's that kind of thing. So
Here, man, I had another, subject. I was actually talking about this a little earlier, man, but
yeah.
going into the judgment, I found a good scripture here in the Apocrypha that I wanted to bring out. Let me just pull it up real quick. It's Second Ezra's chapter 5 and verse 42. It says, "And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring, like as there is no slackness of the last, even as there no swiftness of the first." What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, sorry. Can you read that again? I was kind of half paying attention, but I'm
Yeah,
reading
that's
Second
cool.
Ezra's now. Yeah.
Second Ezra chapter 5 and verse 42. It says,
Yeah.
"And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring, like as there is no slackness of the last, even so is there no swiftness of the first."
I like it. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. It's
right. So
circular.
basically goes into to karma, right? You know what karma is?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, you do something wicked, eventually it's gonna, come around and bite you in the ass, and
Hmm.
that's how the Lord, does things. Because a lot of people, like dealing with I saw your video where you responded to that guy. I believe his name was End Time or something like that.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
brought up the whole thing about the little babies. It's like, and even Ridge Napper, he says, which he don't believe it now, but he used to say that the God of the Old Testament is Satan. And then one
Whoa.
of his proofs, yeah, we got to talk about that in a few minutes. But anyway, one of his proofs of that is he goes to say, well, look, in this verse or that verse, it speaks about God killing babies. So see that it's talking about Satan. It's not talking about the
Jeez.
Most High. What's your thought with that?
Well, God's killed a lot of babies. Like every. It's not funny, but like throughout the Old Testament, New Testament, he's planning to kill the most number of babies. So I don't know where people can get that. That's the problem with. And I'm not trying to shade Ridge. Maybe he's changed from that, but I
Yeah,
enjoyed
yeah,
that. I enjoyed
he's
that discussion.
yeah, yeah, man. And we gotta, I don't have to go just yet, so we can enjoy ourselves, for a little bit here. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts on that? About, these guys are saying that the God of the Old Testament is the devil. So you got a lot of guys out here who are teaching that now.
Yeah, and I think that's sad because the reality is the God of the New Testament is scarier actually than the Old Testament, way scarier because he's doing it on a mass scale and it's permanent. So that's crazy. And people don't understand that all those people that God does that to, it's righteous. We don't have to understand it, and I'm assuming a lot of them are just actors. But yeah, I mean that guy can't understand anything if he's worried about those kind of things. The guy that I was responding to, I mean, the guy at the last days or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's a big hang up for a
go
lot of
ahead.
people. I'm just saying, I think this. That's a big hang up for a lot of people. Once you start reading the Bible, all of it on your own and not from these 501c3 Christians, you start realizing, whoa, dude, God's been doing this from the get go.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's crazy, man. But yeah, what are your thoughts? I don't know if you've seen it because, as I said, I mentioned it a few minutes ago. But you got a lot of guys out here now. So I looked it up on YouTube to research it, and you got a lot of guys who are teaching that the devil is actually the God of the Old Testament. So everything read it in the Old Testament, that's all talking about Satan. That's what they say. Anytime it mentions God, it's talking about the devil. What do you feel about
Well, I think like Satan has to represent certain aspects of God in the sense that he obviously has power, and then God decides when things get destroyed. So, and let's say he sends Satan or the death angels to do that. So, everything God makes is reflective of something that he wants to happen. And so, Satan just sometimes gets to decide how. I think you and I might agree with the Job thing that Satan didn't have control to take his life. He was said no, but he was allowed some freedom to how he's going to do it. So ultimately everything is a judgment from God. So if God decides to kill one person or a billion people, that's a righteous thing. And that's just what it is. And if you don't like it, we don't like it, then you have to find another religion. So that's just the way it is. Because we know that now. That God is behind the killing. Probably many
Yeah,
verses
yeah,
for that.
absolutely, man. And even a lot of people don't know this, but even the demons are also in under the Lord. They all have to answer unto the Lord. And let me pull up a precept real quick. Let's go to the book of First Kings chapter 22 and verse 19. Listen to this.
Mhm.
It says, "And he said, Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right and on his left. And the Lord said, Who shall pursue Ahab, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord has spoken evil concerning thee. Right. So now we know that even the demons, they all have to answer to the Lord, right? And they get their permission to go do evil on the earth from the Lord. So what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think that's that in line perfectly with Job 12:16, that we know this now, and it offends a lot of people. So, just fair warning, if you go talk to somebody like Good Servant, you don't have, don't, uh, he's not like going to hurt you or anything, but like they won't understand those verses. They'll be like,
Hey,
whatever.
trust me, man. As they said, with anybody, that you go to, this is there's levels to this thing. Not
Right,
everybody is
right,
on a
right.
level, and this isn't. I'm not talking about our my guy here, Good Servant. I'm not talking about him. I'm just saying that anybody in general. Hey, there's levels to this thing. All
Yeah.
right. You're not going to go up to somebody, who's just picked up the Bible last month and tell them, I mean, hey, do you know that the Bible says a man can rape a woman? You're not going to go up and tell them that, because they're not mentally intelligent enough to be able to understand, subjects that are deep like that. So it takes time in order to digest more information. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, man, I wanted to ask you a question. We pretty much dived into the whole rapture thing, so we addressed all that for now. I
Yeah.
mean, hey, do you have to go yet, or you got maybe a half
No,
an
no, dude,
hour
I'm
longer you
just
can
chilling,
stay?
man. Yeah, I mean, I got lots of time, dude. This is my pretty much my life, so it's enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah, man. Hey, I do have to go around one, so I got maybe half an hour left.
Yeah, that's cool.
And hey, man, also, go ahead and mirror this video, man, on your channel so more people can see it.
Yeah, I'll probably go live too. You're welcome. I'll probably have a free form thing soon just to kind of catch up with
Okay.
people. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good, man. But I wanted to ask you a question, right? So you watched the debate between, the D Coon and his sidekick Facade when they fought against me. So what were your thoughts on Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, the 28th verse? What do you feel about that?
Uh, I may have to read it again, but they did make a strong argument for the quote legal age being 20 from what I remember about the debate.
Well, you see, what they did is they went to a verse and they cherry picked. Say, for an example, they went to Numbers, the first chapter, and say, well, see, it says you can't go to war if you're 20. But then he said, when I brought up Numbers 8, so I showed him, because he was saying that, there's offices, right? So he said that the priesthood is an office, but going to war isn't an office, though, right? So I showed the verse that says that you have to be 25 or older to work in the priesthood. It's like, okay, so by logical deduction, that has to imply that you're not a man till you're 25 then, because why are you being restricted from the priesthood if you're not 25? And they didn't really know. They were just like, well, it has to be 20. It's like, okay, then. So if according to Numbers 1, if you can't go to war till you're 20, why does it say that? Does it mean because, well, if you're 19, you're not a man? No, it doesn't mean that. It means you wouldn't want to send a young man to fight against an older man because they need time to hone their skills. That's why they would start to practice with weapons when they're around 12 years old. So they'd have like 8 years to become a warrior, right? So it wasn't because they weren't a man. It's just like I could also say, going to Numbers 8. Well, see, it says you can't work in the priesthood till you're 25. So see, that means you're not a man till you're 25. And you see, they can't really get around that. Anyway, man, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, one thing I'll bring up that happened last night that I listened to the GMS Houston, and it's a fair point that kind of like what you were saying, you can't just take somebody who's just read the Bible a month ago and tell them deeper things, even like God's anger, and destruction and all that. But they read the story of Lot, you know how like Lot offered up his two daughters, right? To those
Yeah, yeah.
the Sodomites. And so a lot of us, or I would say not you and I, because we understand the Bible deeper, but a lot of people be like, oh, look at Lot. What the hell is he doing? He's giving up his daughter. Who knows how? I don't think the text says how old his daughters were. It doesn't matter. He's like, here, take my daughters. And so we would view that as what a sinful act, right? An evil act, in this
Right,
in
right.
this
But
day.
God didn't have a problem with it though. God,
No,
God didn't call him out on it.
no, Lot is righteous. That's with what he knew in that time, with the amount of information God gave him. And that's he was scared, like he didn't know that those two people that were visiting him, I believe, are the two witnesses. So just so you know, but you probably know that. But whoever you want to say, they're powerful enough to make them blind. So they had power, okay, spiritual power from God. So he didn't know that. He was just operating under his fear. But a lot of people would look at that and be like, well, that's evil, and stuff. But
Right,
women,
right. So one thing, sorry to cut you off, man.
yeah,
But one thing I asked them was, it's like, okay, then. So if it's not okay to, say for example, right, sexual sin is one of the worst sins of all, right? And you see, I'm very strategic with the questions I ask. I set them up, with a trap because they can't answer it. So I asked them, okay, so sexual sin is a great sin, and he says yes. So then what I ask is, it's okay then. So why did the Lord make a world where children have sexual feelings then, if it is not okay for them to engage in them? And if they are children, well, why did the Lord give children sexual feelings? So the point is that they're actually adults, not children. So I mean, they couldn't really answer that. But what would your stance on that be?
well, I just to kind of go back to that point with Lot, is that we man, it's just tough for people to understand that women are not all that there are in this society. They're not the end all be all, and like, oh, women are so smart and all that. Like, that society was the way it should be. Men interacting with God, and then women are there as a helper, a servant, for the family and all that. So that paradigm doesn't make sense to people. And so that's why I would say that having that discussion, even with Sakari, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't help anybody now, because it's never going to get anywhere near that. Whatever you believe the age is, let's say it's 12, 15, 20, whatever you think it is, 5, it doesn't matter, because no, the way we've been brainwashed in this society is that like women are the top kind of thing, and like we serve
Oh,
them.
matter of fact, that's what is that? That's Jeremiah chapter 31, and I don't know the verse. I'm going to quote it. It says what? That the Lord have created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. Right. So that was done as a curse from the Lord. That in this time now women are put on a pedestal, and that's why
Right.
even when you deal with Babylon, it's referred to as a as a woman, because now in this time, women are put equal, if not above men. But in the,
Exactly.
not too far distant past, that was not so. So anyway, man,
But
you know,
ETT also, there's a verse that I did recently making fun of Greta Thunberg that even said children will rule over adults. So it's like it's gone even one step further in this age where, like, like kids who like, but when I was growing up as a young kid, I didn't say a single thing against my dad. We knew to just shut up, kind of thing. Now it's like you see like kids like run the show, dude. Like, they run their families, make fun of their
like, I mean, hey,
parents.
man, I'll tell you, I like, Greta, man. Hey, look, man, I'm just gonna put this out there. In the kingdom, if I make it to the kingdom, I call dibs on Greta, man. I call
Jeez.
dibs on that young woman there.
She's not going to be there, man. So don't worry. 100%.
But hey, I just put that out there. I already called dibs in the kingdom, right? Not in this man's society, but in the kingdom. If I be one of those men who make it, I already called dibs.
I'm assuming.
Anyway, man, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm assuming the structures that there will be, families and all that. So I don't disagree with that part about the millennial reign, whether that's symbolic of a longer time period or shorter. I don't know personally, but yeah, I mean, I believe there's going to be a time of order on this earth, where the structure gets reverted back to the laws, because God's laws are eternal. The stuff you're quoting in the Old Testament, I don't disagree with it. That's the way it's going to be, even related to slavery. That's the way it's going to be, without a doubt. The way that slaves should have been treated in the past is the way it's going to happen. That God's word is eternal. So I don't disagree ever on that.
Right, right. And a good topic to side way onto, because we discussed it before, but it must needs be again, is the whole servitude thing, the whole slavery thing. Did you get to watch that video I did yet?
Yeah, ATT, if you're in the kingdom, dude, just be nice to me, man. Please. If I'm an Elamite or whatever, you'll remember me, right? From these hangouts.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Hey, as I said, man. Hey, look, if it does, which I believe you're an Israelite, I believe you're a confusion of faith. But hey, if you did turn out to be a heathen, man, then hey, you're all good, man. You're all good. You be just like with that cat, Andrew Ashby. Hey, look, you guys can come on, to my kingdom, and you guys can chill out, man. Y'all don't have to, do no work in the field. You guys are good.
Okay,
So
good.
even that day damn devil demon, even the day damn devil demon Andrew Ashby, that brother, I won't make him work out in the sun. We'll use that brother as my damn, chair son. We'll find good use for him.
He'll bring the moon pies, man. Like he'll deliver them. He'll be the truck driver, kind of, or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, man. That sounds. Hey, that's a good job for him, man. But anyway, going back to what I was saying
Yeah.
is, the whole servitude thing. Did you get to see any of the points I brought out on that
No,
yet?
I'm gonna watch it. Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just write down the verses that you reference, and then I'll do a lesson on that if I have time or whatever. I do have time, so yeah, I watched the first few minutes of it last night, and then I'm just gonna write them down. So,
All
but
right, that
I
sounds
want
good,
you to
man.
understand. I have no issues with that. I just the way you word it is the way that I have problems with. No one's hitting anybody, and you wouldn't even need to hit anybody because you'd be a king at that point. So like you don't go and hit anybody over the head. Like that's like why would you even want to do that? So that's the
Okay,
part
all
that
right. Well, now you're gonna say that though, brother. I do have to call you out on this though, because why is it, if that's the case, well,
yeah
why is it that when you go to Revelation chapter 2
yeah
and verse 26, it says, what? To him that overcomes, he will gain power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron.
yeah
Right. And then there's other verses. I believe there's one in the book of Psalms. I believe it's 148. It speaks about it. Right. They shall be beaten with a rod of iron. Nearly paraphrasing it. So I mean,
well
you're
no you
sitting
got
there
to read
saying
that
that,
you got to
brother.
read that one if you're gonna paraphrase. Can you get it the Psalms one?
Uh, yeah, I'll try to pull that up, but you
Or
can go
unless
ahead and
if
speak
you
for a
brought it
minute
up in the
while I look
video,
for it.
if you brought it up in the video, it's okay. I'll address it, but you can't paraphrase like that because that's different language than in Revelation. If it actually says they're going to beat them with something.
All right, let me look real quick for it. Go ahead and speak for a minute.
Yeah, the ruling with the rod of iron. I've done a lesson on that. When you look at the blue letter on that, it's a rigid rule. It's strict, and so that's correct. It's very very rigid. Here's the analogy. You know how rigid
Hey,
Babylon
hey,
rules.
mind of God, I got it real quick. I got
Okay.
two of them for you.
Yep.
Psalms chapter 2 and verse 7. I would declare the decree. The Lord have said unto me, Thou art my son this day. I have begotten thee. Ask of me, and I will give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost part of the earth for thy possession. Listen here.
Yep.
Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Hey, look, man, that was a spiritual KO right there. Now, that's not enough. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 149 and verse 5. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of Yahweh be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise Yahweh. So how would you address those couple precepts I have presented?
Man, you just helped me with the sequence, dude. I'm pretty sure I've gotten the first one as the sequence, but that's in 2:7, right? Psalms 2:7, 14. That's when Christ returns
Yeah.
with his elect to destroy God's left hand side. That's here on this side prior to the kingdom. So
But I mean, how do you deal with that though? Because it clearly speaks about beating them with a rod of iron, and you said that it didn't mean that. But I literally pulled up a verse that says that. So I mean, how do you
well
how
no,
do you get around that?
read it again. Read the Psalms 2:7 again.
All right, let me go back to it because I closed the book, so just give me a minute to pull it
Mm-hmm.
up. Let's see. Bear with me just a moment. It's almost there. All right, Psalms chapter 2 and verse 7. I will declare the decree. The Lord has said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I will give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost part of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel.
Yeah, that would be during when he's returning with his elect to destroy everybody with the mark of the beast. So, like, how do you give
But if
somebody?
you go,
Wait a
go ahead.
second. Let just understand this. How do you give somebody something and then tell them they can go and destroy it? Like, what? How do you? What? How does that work, dude? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why would you have a group of people that are given to you and then go and beat them and kill them? Then they can't do anything
Well,
for you.
they're just like, say for an example, there's going to actually come a time, believe it or not, mind of God, you might not be familiar with this part of the teaching, but
Yeah.
believe it or not, there will come a time where there actually is peace on earth. Did you ever hear me say that before?
So okay. So when will that be then? Maybe that's how you
That
guys.
that will be in the future. Let me close my bag real quick.
Mhm.
In the future, like we're talking maybe a couple thousand years out now, after Christ returns, there will be a time where where after the heathen serve their sentence of servitude, right, whenever that ends, then there will be a time where they're going to be allowed to go free and to live in their own lands. They just have to continue to keep the laws of the Most High, and they have to continue to bring substance into the kingdom. But if they do that, they will be allowed to roam free and to do what they will. Just like how we have today, nations all over the world. It's just going to be the nations had to, come and pay their reverence, for lack of better words, to Christ. Okay, but yeah, in the future, we're talking about maybe, 1,000, 2,000 years after Christ comes, there will eventually be peace on earth.
Okay. Yeah, that's that's interesting. So that sort of makes sense that you guys have to teach that because these verses need to happen at some point. And so you believe they're going to happen in the kingdom and I would say I know now that they're going to happen leading up to the kingdom.
Well, I mean, how are they going to have? Oh, okay, I'll respect that. I'll respect that. But what about Revelation 2:26? It said to him that overcomes until the end. So now we know it says what at the end. So now we know this is past when Christ returns, right? The end of the age. He that overcomes keeps my words to the end. To him will I give power over the nations, and he will rule them with a rod of iron. So to me, that would, by logical deduction, that would mean that this is happening after Christ came, because it said to him that endures until the end. So what would your thoughts be on that?
Yeah, the nations I agree that there's going to be a group that go through the great tribulation and give up their life and then they're part of God's right hand side and they're going to be from all nations and they're going to serve the elect who serve Christ, who serves the Most High. So I don't think we disagree on that. I think we might disagree how they get there for sure, but and then we might disagree on what they're going to do, like harm them, or beat them and kind of thing. But I don't. Both of us in both of our narratives see people from other nations into the kingdom. Do you agree with that? We both do.
Say that again.
Like in your theology and mine, we both understand that people from all nations will be represented in the kingdom, however they get there, one
Um,
way or the other.
yeah. All nations will be in the kingdom.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So, I believe they have to give up their life and beheaded and all that, and they're given white robes, but you believe however they get there. So I don't disagree with that. So all those verses that talk about, the Israelites having servants and all that, I agree with that. It's true. They're going to serve them and they're not going to be like, oh no, I'm tired today. I don't want to go and, do that and all that. No, that's not the way it's going to work. So they have to do it. So it's rigid
Yeah.
for sure. So I
Okay.
agree. Yeah.
Well, anyway, man, I enjoyed our conversation here. As I said, man, re put this up on your channel so more people can see this discussion because it was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll let you.
Um, but yeah, man, I'm gonna get going in just a couple minutes here. Is there any last minute things you wanted to bring up, or are you
No,
good?
it's cool. I'll make a list of those the slavery things, and we can have a discussion on that. Whether we discuss it here or I'll make a video, we'll chat.
Yeah, yeah. If you can, just do a video on it, and then I'll watch that and give my 2 cents on it. Sound good?
Okay. All right, man. Thanks, dude. Peace.
All right, I'll see you around, man.
Bye.
Okay. I did not expect to go that long. But hey, it was all kept it all spiritual. It's good. I got to get going here because I got a graduation to get to in, like an hour or so. So, I appreciate everybody for, watching the stream. If you didn't know who that was, which you should by now, but in case you knew, that was our good friend Mind of God. You can find his YouTube channel. Just look up the Mind of God on YouTube. You'll see it. But anyway, I hope that video was edifying. If anybody made it this far into the video, put hashtag zingers in the comment section down below, which you can see it on my profile picture there. I just see if anybody made this far after the stream. But anyway, I'm gonna end off by giving all praise to Yahweh, Abashim Yashai for this proof. I'm gonna say shalom.